Welcome back to Rank It, Draft It, Bracket. I am your host, Josh. I'm here with my good buddy, Derek. And with us again today, we have our friend Alex with the new House of Dragon show coming out. We figured we would go back to the world of Westeros and do a Game of Thrones character show. So, Derek, Alex, today we are ranking our top 5 favorite Game of Thrones characters. I just want to ask really quickly, do either of you two have any of the characters from House of the Dragon in there by chance?
I do not.
I do
Yeah,
not know. Not too
too
early.
early. Yeah, too early, definitely. But I figured I'd ask really quickly too. Alex, we'll start with you and then go to Derek. How are you liking the first couple episodes of House of the Dragon?
I like it. I mean, I know you know, but I don't know if Derek knows, but I just finished Game of Thrones earlier this week. So now that I've seen that and I started watching House of Dragon, it's been a lot better. So yeah, I like it a lot.
For sure. What about you, Derek?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. It seems to be building to something pretty good. Like knowing the Game of Thrones pattern. It's too soon to tell. I think what's going to happen or what's going to be good. So, but I think it's a solid foundation so far.
Yeah, I just like being back in the universe. It's fun to revisit that again. So, all right. Well, let's we're gonna rank our top 5. We'll go 5 to 1, and then we're gonna look at some our most hated character. I wondering, kind of thinking perhaps we might all three of us have the same most hated character, but we'll see. But Alex, you're our guest. Let's start with you. Who's your fifth? Who's number 5 on your list?
Okay, number five. Number five was close for me, but I'm gonna go with Samuel Tarly. Um, he's just they built his character up so well. I think he comes in, he's just kind of like a big nerd and boss around, and then he ends up being a Grand Maester. So yeah, really, I mean, every time they went into battle, I was like, God, I hope he doesn't die.
Yeah,
He's such a good character. But yeah, so I'll go with Samuel.
yeah, that's a good one. What about you, Derek?
So I actually had Sam 5 as well. For pretty much all the same reasons. Like, they build him into a very lovable character, and he is someone you're actively rooting for not to die. I don't think I haven't done like a rewatch or anything since it actually finished a couple years ago. So a lot of mine was just like, how do I still feel about those characters a couple years later? And he was one of the first ones that kind of came to mind.
Yeah, no, good. I like Sam as well. Ironically, he's also. I'm just kidding. He's not my number 5. No, I struggled with my number 5 character. There's a bunch of people I could have put there, but I actually decided to go with Jaime Lannister, who I think maybe doesn't show up on a lot of people's lists because he's like a bad guy, villain, whatever you want to call him. But when I watched the show the first time, I was kind of just whatever about him. Didn't really care for him as well because I was like, yeah, this dude's like a jackass. He's a bad dude. But rewatching it the second time, I really grew to like him more. And reading the books, I grew to like him a lot more. The dude just like loves his siblings, sometimes a little too much, right? But like, I just like how he's really loves Tyrion so much. He will like do anything for him. He's the only one in his family that really stuck up for him. Still a pretty good, master of the sword there, even with the left hand and with one hand. And sounds like he was one of the top kind of warriors, fighters, Kingsguard in his day as well when he had both hands. So yeah, I think Jaime also has a nice arc as well. We talked about that with Sam. So Jaime comes in at number 5 for me. What about number 4 for you, Alex?
I have Arya Stark, number 4. I feel like she's probably on all of our lists, but pretty self-explanatory. She becomes pretty badass throughout the show. She's just a young kid, and honestly, just her whole story, you can make a film out of that. Just everything that she goes through. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Derek?
So I had Arya as my 4, but I'm going to switch it up just to not match exactly with Alex here. I am going to go with Tormund here. Was a big fan of him. A lot of comic relief, great character. I feel like I always was excited when there was more of the North in the episodes. And sometimes you have to wait an episode or two for them to like go back to that storyline. But I was always like looking forward to that. And I think he was a big reason of that in the last few seasons.
Yeah, I also have Tormund as my number 4, and he's definitely a Derek character for sure. Yeah, that's right on brand for you for what I would know. And I agree with you about the North. It's kind of like was forgotten in the storyline itself, like from the characters in the story, I mean, and then as on the show sometimes. But yeah, Tormund's hilarious, honestly. I'm super excited to see him back in the Jon Snow spinoff. That'll be coming out whenever it comes out, I guess. And some of my favorite moments of the entire show is when he's talking about Brienne and he's like, is the big woman there? And he like falls in love at first sight, but he's a awesome warrior too. I would take him on my team for a fight any day. That's for sure. So yeah, Tormund's a great character. I like him. I'm glad you had him on there too. I have him as 4. So Alex, let's go to you for number 3.
Okay, 3. I have Bronn, Sir Bronn of the Blackwater. Solely just because he's just hilarious to me. Like every time he's on camera, he's just cracking jokes, and all he cares about is women and drinks and money. And I don't know, I just find it funny. Like throughout the whole show, it's mostly all just serious, and he just cracks jokes all the time. So,
what about you, Derek?
So, let's see. For 3, I had this is where I just flip flop Tormund and Arya just to be a little bit different from Alex here. So Arya like ends up growing into a huge role, but her storyline was always very interesting all the way through. I don't feel like I ever was like, oh, more of this, like more and more Sansa, like so highly entertaining, a great arc to go from where she did, all the way through. And obviously, ends up being pretty important there at the end. So
yeah, I don't have Bronn on my list, so I want to touch really quick on Alex's pick. Bronn also pretty good with the sword there too. As he's shown throughout the 8 seasons. So and Bronn was
his first scene is when he fights for Tyrion.
Yep.
And whoops that guy's ass. So yeah.
Yeah, he kind of covers all of the things that we liked about Tormund, just in a different manner as well, right?
Just in the South, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So no, Bronn's a good character. My number 3 that I have is Sir Davos Seaworth, the Onion Knight, hand to Stannis Baratheon. The guy was just like the smartest dude without being really like book smart, right? Because he like couldn't even read until kind of halfway through the show. But just like the wisest, again, smart. Like just, I would want him advising me. I would choose him as my hand for sure. Always knew what to say. Was good in battle. I think more so with ships, on the sea. But I was always worried for him too throughout the show, because he seemed to have one of those like a solid moral compass, and you always like those guys always used to die or always seem to die quickly. You get attached to him, like, oh no, he's good, and then he dies. So I was happy to see him make it all the way to the end. But yeah, Davos, I love Davos. He's my number 3. Alex, let's go to you for 2.
All right, I'm going Jon Snow, number 2, for obvious reasons. Just a good dude, good knight. Just shows up every episode, and very good.
Puts a shift in every day, right? Yeah. Derek, what about you? Number 2.
So I'm guessing that my list isn't flip flopped with Alex for the top 2 here. Just a guess, but I had Tyrion as my number 2 character. I think he was, especially in like the first few seasons, episodes where nothing happened, where they just, it was just talking, a lot of just like court drama, King's Court drama. Like he carried those episodes and just made them highly entertaining, I think. And he just shows up big on the screen, Is
that a height joke or no?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Tyrion carries the show in a lot of ways. I think for most fans, definitely. Great character. Jon, same as well. Number 2, I went with Arya Stark actually at number 2. I was a big fan the whole way through. She starts off as one of that like little girl that was kind of I want to be with the boys. I don't want to be a lady of the court type thing. And, gets separated from her whole family the entire time and comes like this close, like multiple times to meeting up with Sansa, meeting up with John. I don't think she gets close to Bran until the very end, obviously, but like just again, like just right there, you want her to get some sort of like something good because she's on her own the whole time, but then she just becomes I think Alex, like what you said, she becomes this kind of little badass, like goes across the sea, becomes a faceless man, just becomes a stone cold killer, really. And then Derek, you put it, you said it pretty valuable at the end. She kills the damn Night King. Like, how cool is that, right? Like, I have my Air Arya shirt on right now,
nice.
prepared for this, and
Awesome.
so she just, I don't know what, maybe there wouldn't be a finale. Maybe there wouldn't be the rest of this, episodes 4, 5, 6 of the final season, if not for Arya, right? So Arya definitely worthy of my number 2 pick for me. Alex, before we go to number 1, why don't you remind us your 5 through 2, and then go ahead and give us your number 1 pick, even though I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
All right. Yeah. 5, Samwell Tarly. 4, Arya Stark. 3, Bronn the Blackwater. 2, Jon Snow. And then, number 1, Tyrion. Derek, you called it. Kind of just echoing what you said, Derek. He's just, his cleverness, he's funny. Even though he's like a Lannister, he doesn't use like that his name really for like the power, like he just doesn't really care about that. He just wants what's good in the world, and that's what I like about it. Like he could be like his siblings and his dad and stuff, and he doesn't take after that. So I just really like that.
Well, he everyone that shares his last name hates him pretty much. So I probably wouldn't like my family or use that as well.
He doesn't like them either, except Jamie. But yeah.
Got a ruthless side to him there in, I think, what season finale of season 4, whatever it is, strangling his bedmate in there along with killing his dad. So really quick before we go to Derek, I was thinking about this the other day regarding that exact scene. Like, how long of a shit was Tywin taking, man? Like, he was Tyrion, like went upstairs, like crawled up through the tunnels, had time to kill Shay, and then probably cried about it for, at least 5 minutes, I'd say, maybe three minutes.
Yeah.
Walked down the hall, and then he's just still there, man. So
he's on Twitter.
Yeah. Scrolling. He's like, what's going on in Essos over here? What's news across the world? So, all right, Derek, let's remind us your 5 through 2, and then take us home with 1.
Yeah, so I had Samwell 5, Tormund 4, Arya at 3, Tyrion at 2. Did we want, so maybe a quick break here. Do we want to talk about honorable mentions at this point, or save them for a little bit later?
I was just gonna right after we do this.
So then Jon Snow, number 1. Definitely, I think my favorite character, kind of from the start. I already mentioned my affinity for the North. I think just kind of every time, we went to them, it was an interesting storyline. It was something, I wanted to see. Some of his scenes are some of the most memorable ones. Him, the Battle of the Bastards, like under the pile of people. It's like made you hard to breathe, like made it hard to breathe while keeping watching it. So, he's who I, bend the knee for, I guess.
The King in the North, huh? You're
North,
okay.
yeah.
Good, yeah. My I'll do my 5 through 2 and then share my number 1 pick. Is I went with Jaime Lannister at number 5, Tormund, Davos, and Arya at 2, and then Jon Snow as well is my number 1 character. I just love how much the dude was like so like loyal to the Wall, to the Night Watch, and then broke like every single vow as well. Like, just, the no relations thing, no titles, all that. He's like, nah,
well,
I don't want it.
His
but
vow. He died for them, so
he did. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. I guess it's all reset, right? He was never re-inducted to the Night Watch, I guess, after they killed him. So that's a good point, Derek. Yeah, forget everything I just said. So no, I like John. He has such like a awesome story. He's this bastard that like, Ned Stark fathered out of wedlock, right? And then we later on find out that he's like not only actually is a Stark, but he's a Targaryen too. Like that's badass. That's awesome. I wish they would have actually made that matter in the show, and he would have either ended up on the throne or done something more with it. I just got done saying how awesome it was that how awesome Arya was for killing the Night King, but like I feel like that should have been Jon as well. Just the lead up of him being the prince that was promised and all that. So my point is that, like, Jon had all this awesome like build up, and he was a great character. Clearly, I love him. You love him, Alex. You had him at number 2 as well. But like, they didn't give him anything with it. Like he didn't end up on the throne. He didn't kill the Night King. I just wish we would have got more out of Jon, even though he did check pretty much all the boxes. So yeah, that's my list. You two both have very similar lists, and then Derek and I, we have a few of the same as well. So I think Alex, you had Bronn. Neither of us had Bronn. I know I had Davos, and neither of you had Davos. And then Derek, I don't know if you had one that we didn't have. I don't think. Yeah, I think.
No, I think
both of us covered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, Derek, let's kick it back to you. You mentioned honorable mentions. Do you have any that we just missed your list, or who was maybe 6?
Bronn was 6.
Mm-hmm.
When you started with Sam, I almost flipped him to 5 just to throw that curveball in there. But I'm glad he got his due on the episode. Great character. And then my other honorable mention, really like a heat check pick. Not a lot of airtime, but Lyanna Mormont. Another one in the North, but just 10 out of 10 every scene. I feel like that she was in. So
definitely, Alex, go ahead. Who is your just missed your list?
So I actually wrote it on here. Number 6 was Tormund for me.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys both had him. Yeah, he was awesome. He was really funny too. And I like the Hound as well. I thought the Hound was a pretty good character, and he was probably 7th on my list. But yeah,
dude was just pissed at his brother the entire show. Like that's all his focus was, just to fuck up his brother. I had Tyrion as number 6. I texted you both that I might have a little bit of a hot take. I think Tyrion not being in a top 5 is probably not common for most fans of the show, but I think he's a good character. I don't know. I kind of just connected more to some of the others, which I went ahead of him, but he was definitely my number 6. I had Sam as an honorable mention also. Again, like he had to talk himself up. Who else killed a White Walker and a Thenn? At least up to later on in the show. And then not only did he like do that, and he was like supposed to be this coward, but he like legit stole his dad's sword, right? Like in the middle, like to go up against his dad and be like, "Fuck you, Dad! I'm gonna take this."
Pure grayscale too, like
exactly. Yeah, Sam was pretty clutch throughout the show. Pod Payne was one of my favorites. Podrick Payne. I just love that dude. Like, kind of just lurking the whole show in the background, but coming through clutch, became an awesome fighter and warrior, an amazing songbird of the generation type voice, right? Just knows like everything that's supposed to be known. He's a good, the best squire that ever lived. And then Derek, I do want to echo Lyanna Mormont, probably the like pound for pound best character in the show, or screen minute for screen minute, best character of the show, both whether it's size or screen time. Like no one commanded the screen better than Lyanna. So yeah, I loved her. All right, I asked you both too to give me your most hated character. Alex, why don't you go ahead and let us know who that is?
All right, there should be only 2 options here. One of them, or my most hated, is Ramsay.
Ramsay, okay.
The reason why I picked Ramsay over Joffrey is because I feel like Joffrey, like everyone doesn't really take him seriously, even though he's just annoying little punk, But Ramsay was actually just like a bad dude. Like he hated everyone and didn't care, and he's just
fucked up in the head.
Yeah. He did some messed up things. So yeah, I'll pick Ramsay.
Definitely. Yep. And Derek, what about you?
So I had those 2 written down. I actually had one more name written down, and just to drop the hot take here, I think I'm going to go with that. And okay. I think it's grown more so as the seasons went on and as the show's ended and been passed. I'm going to say Dany. Oh, I really couldn't stand her. Like the last
very hot take. Yeah.
For most of it, I didn't like care about her storylines, and then actively started to dislike her in like season 5 probably. And then obviously towards the end, like they try to make you hate her, but I was already like, I'd already jumped off the cliff.
had
So
arrived,
it was
yeah.
real easy. Yeah.
That's definitely a hot take. With that pick. I also had a third name, so apparently there's 4 to throw in here. But Cersei was the other one that I had on there. Just for
That's
similar,
fair.
like as the show goes on, I'm like, man, I cannot stand this bitch. Like she is just ridiculous. But I did end up going with Joffrey, though. I'm glad at least one of us did, because I just couldn't. Man, he was only around for 4 seasons, had a pretty satisfying death because of how like much of a shit he was, but I just could not stand that guy. Just a little entitled prick with just the most punchable face you've ever seen. So I couldn't. I was the first name I wrote down. Easy. I didn't even have to think of anyone else. Immediately thought Joffrey, but I did have Ramsay written down as well, just because of how like twisted he was. Just to piggyback on your Danny point, Derek. Yeah, rewatching it again, she really, really got annoying to me once she crossed the sea and got to Westeros. I think like in season 7, beginning of 7, she just really, they made her into that like start the Mad Queen kind of storyline there a little bit, with how like defensive she would get over everything, and like the attitude and like look she would give everybody. Like, what do you mean there might be somebody else that could be on the Iron Throne or would disagree with her or whatever.
Yeah,
so
the
that's
entitlement was off the charts.
Yeah, big time. So yeah, I'm glad we had 3 different picks there. That was interesting for sure. So well, I think that'll do it. I was not surprised that we had some crossover in our top list for sure. And I mean, it's hard not to like some of these same main characters for sure. But yeah, Alex, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. That makes you back-to-back episodes here with us, Alex. We need to just add you as a reoccurring, character sometimes in our show here. Derek, as always, thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up. Let us know who your favorite character is, or who makes your top list, and who, if your most hated is different than any of the top 4, the final 4 essentially that we listed here. Let us know that as well. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.